So what's up with your friend?
Let's crack a lacking.
Wait, you guys had history. What happened?
Here she. Look, your head's right in front of it. Oh, that's why I think nobody was in here.
Maybe do that at a party.
Okay, kiddos, some instructions first, so I want you to listen. So I want you to listen, cameras are on in the back, so our speaker up front, you guys need to be quiet so that they can hear what the speaker is saying, because we are live, like right now, live. And so I want to make sure that you show ultimate respect, right, to our guest speaker, so that you have your cell phones off or silenced and put away, earbuds out. I know you use them when you're, walking or listening to music, so everything off and put away. And, be the great students you normally are. We're going to have an introduction. We'll have our guest speaker, and then you'll be able to ask some questions, okay?
Yes.
So let's wait for our other peers to come in. Give us 1 second.
I'm so short because I'm sitting right in front of Barry. That's my hand.
Come on in, sunshine.
There you go. Is that better?
You're live. They can hear all your conversations.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to repeat those instructions for those just joining us. Listen up. This is a little different for our speaker series because we're live, right? And so that camera's on and active right now. They can hear your conversations. It's important that while the presenter is speaking, that you are quiet, not whispering to each other, not having your little side chats, nice and quiet. Cell phones silenced and put away, earbuds out, so we give proper respect to our speaker. Sounds good? Be great students you normally are. And then I'm going to
Please welcome Dr. Lisa Campos.
Good morning.
being here. I like that. My name is Lisa Campos. I'm the Vice President for Intercollegiate Athletics at UTSA. So how many of you have been on the UTSA campus? Yes, I love that. And how many have been to a sporting event? A few? All right. For those who haven't raised your hand, we're going to get you to one of the 17 sporting events that we have at UTSA. But I am really humbled to be able to be in front of you. One of my the best parts of my jobs is really to be with students, and usually that's with college students. So anytime I can be with high school students or elementary school students or junior high students, I'm really, that just fills my day. I once was a freshman way back, and I would, people would come in, these adults would come in and present, and you'd be like, what message do they have that's going to relate to where I'm at as a freshman or a sophomore or whatever? So I think it's always really important to just talk about our journey and a little bit about who I am, because where I am today, any one of you can be there. And I was like, just everyone in this room, I grew up, and just the agenda. I'm going to just talk about our journey. I'm going to talk about servant leadership and a little bit about UTSA athletics. So the journey, this is what I talk about. So anyone who says babies are cute, all right, here is a really good example of babies just really come out ugly a little bit, or at least I did. But here's my journey from day one at birth to being named Vice President of Intercollegiate Athletics at UTSA. So I grew up in a really small town in southeast Colorado, population 3,000. When I was a senior in high school, we finally got a Dairy Queen. We had no fast food restaurants. We got a Dairy Queen when I was finally a senior in high school. We had one stoplight. I had 48 students in my graduating class. 10 were foreign exchange students who all thought all of Colorado was so beautiful and mountains. And where I grew up was the Kansas-Oklahoma border, so it was a lot of tumbleweeds and tornadoes. But I really grew up in a blue-collar environment where not many of the residents went on to college. I had no role models of what would that look like? What did education look like? I have my parents, my mom's from Mexico. She went to the 2nd grade, and in 2nd grade, she was pulled out to work in the fields. She did not know how to read, write, and was really fortunate when made her journey to the United States and with my dad. My dad went to high school. After high school, he was drafted to Vietnam War. He's a Vietnam veteran. Unfortunately, did not take advantage of the GI Bill. The GI Bill and athletic scholarships are the two programs that provide the highest funding programs that provide access to education. My dad didn't do that. He worked for a train depot. He worked in the Veterans Administration Hospital as a clerk. My mom worked in a pickle plant. She had no education. She was in addition to working at a pickle plant, she was a janitor at a nursing home. And I was really fortunate that they knew the value of education. They knew that education was a key to changing the trajectory of my life, my kids' life, and so they've always talked about it. And for there's some still tradition, Mexican tradition, that women stay home. You stay home, you take care of your family, you don't leave the house. And so my parents were really brave, particularly my mom, when they let me leave 4 hours from my little hometown to attend Colorado State University. And that whole side of the family thought I was the devil child. Why are you letting her leave? What is going to happen to her? She should be at home. Again, I was so fortunate. And part of the story is that we don't do these things on our own. We have support around us, and it's so important to find those people who are going to support you. So I went to Colorado State University. I lived on campus. The campus had close to 10,000 students on campus. It was 3 times the size of my high school, or the community I grew up in. Believe me, I was scared. I wanted to go home every weekend. I wanted to get in that car and go home every weekend and be with familiarity. And you know what happened when I go home? All those kids who didn't go to college would make fun of me for leaving. Right? And at the same time, when I was at Colorado State University, I really had to hide who I was. I didn't want them to know I had to work 20 hours in the week to pay for school. Because no other people weren't doing that. I didn't want them to know my parents didn't go to college, because a lot of my classmates at college, their parents had gone to college. And so that was tough. But all of that, I'm so grateful that Colorado State was really ahead of its time serving students who looked like me. Every statistic, and this is sort of the theme in my story, is every statistic says I should not have ever earned an undergraduate degree, let alone a doctorate degree. Every statistic says I should not be sitting here as a woman Latina athletic director. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But you know what, I was so privileged that at Colorado State University on day one, I had mentors who came and met me and took me around the campus, told me it was gonna be okay. It was a family, an instant family affair. And I had access to tutoring, and I got a work study job and, to help me pay for this experience that I was gonna have. And I shared that because that's what it took, was people putting their arms around me and believing that this kid from rural Colorado could graduate. People took a chance on me, they saw something. And that is, I was talking about, anything is possible. And there is no reason anyone in this room, whatever you put your mind to, cannot happen. But just remember, you gotta bring people along with you. You gotta surround yourselves by good people, people who want that for you. Going back home and listening to all the haters. I mean, I had people who came to me and said, why are you doing this to your parents? They don't have the money to send you to college. Why are you not staying home? I had to separate myself from these people, because that was not motivating me, right? I had to go around with people who believed and saw something in me. And so I graduated in 4 years. I worked really, really hard, graduated in 4 years. Worked a lot of jobs to get myself through that. And then I was like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do with this business degree? And I, again, was really fortunate that people saw things in me and said, you know what, you should look at getting a graduate degree. I never even imagined getting an undergraduate degree. Now we're talking about a master's degree. And people, again, took their arms around me and said, you can do this. And so I did my master's degree in student affairs and higher education. And that's really why I'm here in the role I am now, because so many people opened my eyes, and I want to pay it forward to students like you, to the students who go to UTSA, that, again, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here. And they opened my eyes that there's jobs in higher education. You actually can work and have fun and work on a college campus. Like, my mind was blown. I didn't know that was possible. So I got my master's in student affairs and higher education. And then again, I had to do this brave thing again. I applied for a lot of jobs, and my first opportunity was at UTEP. So we're talking from Colorado to El Paso. And again, it was, why are you leaving home? Not for my parents, thank goodness, they were really supportive of from others. And I had an opportunity to be an assistant dean of students on a college campus. And I helped other students who looked like me and who needed that encouragement and that support. And a couple of years into that job, long story, but had the opportunity to move into athletics. I was a high school athlete. I was not talented enough to be at a Division I level. I probably could have played junior college. I could have played Division II. Retrospect, I regret that. I didn't know the process. My high school, they didn't have support to help you understand how you get scholarships in that way. So I need to have regrets, but one of my regrets is not pursuing that, playing sports somewhere, because now I see our student athletes and what that has done for them. It's pretty incredible. But I thought, why are y'all going to hire me in athletics? I have no experience. I wasn't a student athlete. And my mentor said, Lisa, athletics needs more people who look like you, who have the degrees that you have. And I said, okay, I'm going to jump in with 2 feet in and see if I like this thing. And I've never looked back. And again, part of it is, again, serving students. It's not about winning the games, that's fun. Winning championships, that's a lot of fun. But it's about serving our students and making sure that they're getting the support to get them through their next 4 or 5 years of college. So I met my husband at UTEP, we were both in the athletics program, and I shared that I am incredibly lucky to find a partner who has supported me. And again, it goes back to that surround yourself by people who believe in you and who are gonna support you. And fast forward to 2012, I get a call and I'm getting recruited to Northern Arizona University to be their athletic director. I had never applied for an athletic director position. As I was saying earlier, out of 130 FBS divisional programs, there's 10 women that serve in this role. I thought, what are the chances? But again, I had such support around me and said, you gotta try, especially my husband. What's the chances you're gonna get this job? It's the first job you've applied for an AD job. Well, within 24 hours, I got offered the position. And so we, again, have a very supportive husband who picked up his career and said, you gotta do this. This is an incredible opportunity. I am behind you. We will figure out what I can do and I am to support you. And so we moved to Flagstaff, Arizona. I was the athletic director there for 5 years. Had my son, he's almost 9 now, had my son at NAU. And let's talk about that experience. To be in your second year of leading a program where in this world, people don't think women can lead athletic programs. It's a male-dominant world. And then to be a mom, well, how's she gonna have time to be a mom and to be a vice president for Intercollegiate Athletics? And again, you surround yourself by people who said, you can do this. I had a donor who came to me and said, Lisa, when I was about to have my son Christopher, he said, you have an incredible opportunity to show your department what it looks like to be a mom and to be a leader. Take advantage of that opportunity, and I very much have, and have hopefully been a role model to other women who thought about having a family and being in these types of leadership roles, and to the men who are supporting all of that. So we won our first ever national championship at NAU. That's hard to come by, but it was in cross country. And then I had an opportunity, was recruited to become the athletic director here at UTSA. I didn't know a ton about San Antonio. I didn't know a ton about UTSA. But once I got out of here and learned about it and met the students, I was sold. And I went from not knowing to I am going to be devastated if I don't get this job, and was really fortunate. So we talked about against all odds. Again, my motto is that anything is possible. And at the end of the day, you know, they always talk about your obituary. It is no one's going to remember the national championship we won, the 2 conference football championships that we just won back to back. This is what I hope people remember, is that I provided opportunities in higher education, created an exceptional experience for students that resulted in them earning their degrees and changing the trajectory of their lives. That is my life mission. And whether I impact just one person in this room today, that is my life mission, is that you all know this is, look at me and look at my experiences. Everyone said it couldn't happen, and it did. And so that's what I hope people remember me by, that I helped others. This is my family. Again, I think I like visuals. I was just back home. My mom still has that yellow dress for some reason, and I don't know if she thought I would have daughters, and I can pass it around, pass it down, but that's my family. So how did this all happen? One of the best things that I experienced through a leadership program was to figure out who am I? And what makes me who I am, and that's going to always guide me. And those are called core values. And when I am making life decisions, when I'm making daily decisions, when I'm thinking about how I support, this is what it's based on. It's my core values. If you can't figure out education, education is key. Look at the trajectory. I am a kid who stood in line, in the government line, for cheese and eggs and bread. Who would have ever thought that this would be the person who's sitting here in front of you as Vice President of Student Intercollegiate Athletics? Like, I am the kid who had the free and reduced lunch, right? I'm the kid that we had nothing. And no one thought coming out of that community that anyone would amount to anything. But the key was education. Integrity. A lot of people have a definition of integrity about doing the right thing, right? Integrity to me is doing what you say you're gonna do. When you tell your friends, your parents, your loved ones that whatever you're gonna do it. And we talk about this in our work environment all the time, because I rely on you. You're my teammate, you just told me you're gonna do something. So integrity to me is do what you say you're going to do. And then courage, you can see that throughout my story, throughout my journey. You have to be courageous, at least in my situation. I had to find courage within me, but courage from those around me. Because again, to leave home, to go to college, to leave Colorado, to travel for my career took courage. To have a son in my second year of being an athletic director, that took courage. Loyalty, I am loyal to a fault. I spent 12 years at UTSA. A lot of people bounce around a lot of jobs. I would have never left NAU, had this position not presented itself, but being loyal to who I work with, being loyal to my family. And then of course, family is, I do things for my family. So you talk about personal characteristics. I show this slide because I think some things are learned and some things are just within you, right? This is an Easter. And notice the red velvet vest. This was my Christmas outfit. And on Easter, I woke up and told my mom, I want my red velvet vest for Easter. And she said, people are going to laugh at you. It's Easter. You wear Easter colors. And I said, I don't care. And so part of it was being stubborn. And she allowed that. She let me be who I want to be. To not care about what people think about me. To have that confidence and that self-esteem to wear a red velvet vest on Easter. And so that, persistent or being stubborn, being persistent, going after what you want and not giving up. And that's hard. That is really hard, especially when you have so many voices telling you to give up. And when you have people who don't want to see you succeed. You have to stay persistent. And I know that you guys are going to get tired of hearing this from me, but those people who don't want you to be successful, get away from them. Optimistic. You have to have a great outlook on life. You control what you control. If you can't control it, let it be. There's a plan. Then be optimistic. Have positivity in your life. Setting goals. It's so important. At this age, I know those goals can be short-term, those goals can be long-term, but let those goals be known. Don't be embarrassed about those goals. Let people know about what you want to achieve, because you know what, that opens doors. When I know you want to do X, Y, and Z, I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you figure that out. I'm going to surround you with people who are going to help you figure that out. But when you keep your goals within, you can't do it alone. No one will know what you're trying to accomplish. Have a plan and find solutions. There is nothing that aggravates me more than an employee who comes in my office and just spills all the problems and has no solution. I cannot come up with every solution. You have to help, you have to be helpful in this, right? You have to help find solutions. So when you have a problem, think about all those. My 8-year-old does it all the time, and the solutions he comes up with, I'm like, that's pretty good. Well, I would have never thought of that. So having solutions. So again, so this is just the journey. That was from many, many years ago when I first got hired. Louie the Lumberjack was our mascot. He was kind of scary at NAU, but we embraced him. So I can talk a little bit about servant leadership too, and I know I'll brush through this here. What does servant leadership look like? This is my philosophy too when I lead, is to lead through servant leadership. And it's about team first. It is not about me. It is not going to be about the wins and losses for me. I'm not out there taking the credit. It is about our team. A servant leadership team is inspired. It goes back to the optimism. We are inspired to do something. We're confident we take risks. We don't care about falling forward. Have you all heard of that term, falling forward? Who cares? Go after what you want. Share it with people. Fall forward. Because you know, if you don't try to fall forward, you're never going to move forward. Have authentic relationships. They're high performing, and there's a strong culture in servant leadership teams. This is just what we're about at UTSA Athletics. This is the last slide. Our vision as an athletics department is to transform lives as San Antonio's nationally recognized Division I program. We want to transform lives from the kindergartner that came to a game to the elderly person who came to a game. We want to transform lives through sport. And then our mission is about serving our students. We want to develop them in the classroom, in competition, in life. We want for those students who come to UTSA who aren't student athletes, for them to be a part of all of this fun and pride and culture. And we want to give visibility to the university and to San Antonio. And our winning values are, we do everything with excellence, we do everything with integrity, and we're very united as an athletics program. So that's all I have. I'm sorry if I went over time, but thank you so much for letting me share my journey. I hope that it resonated with you, and that you really heard the thing that we don't do this alone. Surround yourself by great people and let all of your dreams be known, because there are people like me all around you who will help. So thank you so much.
Does anybody have any questions for us today?
Yeah. Ooh, one challenge. There are so many challenges, of course, and you all heard some of the things of just my background. And again, every statistic saying that I should not be here in front of you with the degrees that I have, with the title that I have. But I think one of the biggest ones is, and I alluded to it, is being a female leader in a male-dominated industry. That when you walk in, and then I'm not as young anymore, but when I started in my career, I was pretty young. And so to overcome the stereotypes and I had to always work harder, and I'd wear suits all the time to try to make myself look older. And what I realized is, again, it just goes back to surrounding yourself by people who will be older.
Thank you everyone for joining us today. Tune into our next Cash Lab episode. Thursday evening. You can visit cashflow.com.
Thank you all.